We'll get started. See my Silent Rivers here, a part of the Mercury Innovation Council. And so today I have one of our pioneers, if you will, for the council, Major Mitchell. And then so if you could, sir, just give me a little bit of background about yourself and then your association with Project Mercury Alumni Association.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks, Rob, for the opportunity here, and just great to see this community still evolving and energizing and giving back. And so I'm happy to, offer a little bit of the time. So real quick on me. So I'm Air Force, now Space Force officer. I'm out here in the Hanscom, Massachusetts area and been in about 12 years. And so I originally got in touch with Project Mercury during my tour down in Alabama, supporting Space Delta 13, which is a focus on education for Guardians. And so my predecessor of the role says, "Hey, you're the innovation officer here. I did this program called Project Mercury. I'm like, never heard of it. You got to go sign up." So I did right away. So my first cohort was cohort 11 in fall of 2023, which was right outside of Air University, which was fantastic. Went right down the road. First time meeting, Dr. Eagle and DeGraff and the team, and being exposed to this. And it was just so different. It was just so different from any other experience, being in for a while. I've done squadron officer school, all the different PME you can do, professional military education, and this was not your standard PME course. That was very clear out of the gate, and I can go on and on about that program, but that was my first cohort. The team was amazing. The thing is that you never know who you're going to get, and right away we clicked. We in which you need it, because it's definitely getting comfortable being uncomfortable. There's not always clear guidance on exactly what needs to be done, as you know, and so it's being adaptive and taking care of each other. I came back as a coach, so yeah, spring of 2024 for cohort 12. Just wanted to give back to it and continue doing my reps and sets. See one, do one as the progression. And so I was honored to be welcomed back as a coach. And then more recently this spring, supported the first the joint staff workshop with the joint staff team out there. So that was really, really eye-opening as well, seeing all the way from, tactically working with people, getting the job done, all the way up at, hey, what are the senior leaders thinking, and those senior staff officers there. And then, of course, help the initial alumni council stand up. So, it's not easy standing new things up, but it was exciting. And you just try new things. We tried some things. Some of them were fun and they did well, but they do take time. And so we're happy to hand over the reins to your team and seeing where you take it as well. But that's my quick story on involvement with Project Mercury.
No, so it's really awesome to, and so as you go back and you backtrack through time frame, right? Like we're talking really a matter of about 2 years of kind of that venture space, if you just think about it, right? And so one of the things that I really feel like is really awesome is how you have evolved, how you move from your first cohort, getting involved in the program, and then staying connected in a way that has flourished other communities. And so want to really just talk about like the uniqueness that exists in the Space Force and how this the Project Mercury piece has really helped move some needles as it relates to Space Force from your perspective.
Sure, yeah. I mean, that's an interesting journey itself. Space Force this December, we're only going to be about, it'll be 6 years old, and we're still figuring things out. I mean, that's what really attracted me to when I had the invitation. Hey, would you like to go from Air Force to Space Force as an acquisition officer? I was like, this sounds great. The possibilities are endless. I think people that gravitate towards Project Mercury in these communities see a lot of the benefits, like, oh man, we could do so much, versus maybe others that shy away from the uncomfortable or the unknown and be like, what, we could get so much trouble. But so that's why I wanted to jump in with the Space Force, and it felt like more of that, hey, this is maybe my community to try new things, change the status quo, and we're doing that. It hasn't been easy. It hasn't been comfortable all the time. Sometimes we've tried things and it's like, well, that didn't work. Let's try something else. There's still that struggle to break away from legacy thinking, and a lot of the, people that have come from other services, and it's like, well, this is how we did it. And so we're still working through all that, which is really exciting. What I loved about, this Project Mercury community, though, is that they're always looking for ways to improve and to build on each other and share. And it's been an invaluable tool going forward, is looking for that novelty and really just being open to different divergent opinions on things, and saying like, yes, I am open for something different. This is my mental framework right now, but how could I look through it in a different lens? What we learned through the competing values framework of knowing understanding your default lens and saying, okay, what if I change that purposely, and how would I look at it through a different way versus more innovatively, more engineering wise, collaborative, or maybe we just need to get something done right now. The blue is something that's the opposite of my natural thinking and prowess. So I've learned to try to help embrace that a bit more, especially when you just got to get stuff done.
I always thought it was fascinating as Dr. Eagle would talk through kind of the genome for the department, and then where most of the folks who have taken either students or folks who have come back as coaches, where we kind of sit, right? And so when you talk about like the blue piece, we're very communal with how we try to get things done, right? Like our process is very, very sage. And then so in times, and I think what's really evident in how you've moved through building communities in times where you've had to tap into blue. Talk talk a little bit about how that process for you of deviating really from kind of your natural innovation space into gaining confidence and then even momentum of getting things moving quickly, or how you've gotten over just kind of that reluctance to go fast.
Yeah, great question. So yeah, my default, taking the genome test is, well, primary is yellow, so that sage would love getting talking to someone new. Hey, I've got to learn someone else from this person. This person's cool. My secondary is red, so definitely a lot of the engineer doing things right, like kind of overthinking, I guess, is some of the points that to improve upon. And so that's just where I naturally want to go. So I remember going through the cohorts. I always thought of like, oh, this is an excuse to talk to a lot of amazing people. Let's talk to DARPA. Let's talk to, Army DEF CON. Let's talk to AFRL. At a certain point, you just got to make a decision and actually produce something, right? So that's why it's great in the program. Those checkpoints. Hey, at this point, you got to deliver something, whether you feel like you're ready or not. You need to put something into the environment and get feedback and iterate on it. And that's really what I've learned, is that you can't just innovate in a silo. You can't just stay in a classroom and even have calls with people and just figure it out by yourself. It's take that input and then make a decision, make a product, put something in the environment, and get that feedback. And that's really how you accelerate that innovation cycle, is being able to be vulnerable, right? To put something out there, even when you feel like you're not really ready, but maybe it's 70% ready, maybe it's 80% ready. And I think that's really resonant to where, our the military department and whatnot is thinking about. It's like we need to go fast. And so I think this is just very much related to where the thinking is right now, and moving faster, but thinking responsibly, and how to use your tools to do that in a very, the art and science of it all. And so, um, yeah, I've had to learn to just stop. You can't, you can only talk to so many people, and you can only analyze so much, and to be willing to jump into that blue space and saying, hey, this is what we're going to go with for now, and to know when it's good enough to proceed forward, because you only get better, yeah, putting things out in the real life environment and moving forward.
That was a crucial point, I think, during the cohort. So as a student, like the idea of, because green, sage are my spaces, right? And then so
Okay.
the idea of like knowing that first idea is not going to survive contact. Um, you can't hold on to your pet rock. Like the
Yeah.
I'm going to put something out here, and then like, oh, it's great in my mind. Somebody's
Yep.
going to crush that.
Yep. Yep.
And ideating off of the fact that, okay, how do I either start answering questions or yes and in spaces? And then so I would imagine, especially as you've gone fast and moved with building communities in this innovation ecosystem, you've gotten some no's. And then so what I would ask is, how have you handled either the no's or naysayers or roadblocks that have come with as you try to build and further innovation for our Department of War?
For sure, right? Yeah, I think that's common in our community of, what we dub ourselves as innovators, trying to think of new ways to accomplish. And you think you find that pet rock to be like, this is it, this is the way to go forward. But then there's the system, you still have to play inside the system. So navigating with that book, the like the hairball, something like that, that's a great book. If you're ever looking for a book to try to see, you're in this system, so you have to still play along certain rules. But another common phrase, as community I love is the virtuous insurgency. Is there's ways to package it and move forward and have progress. And usually it's along with just getting buy-in from all your stakeholders, and that's where my default with yellow and sage again is. But it's really just about, hey, figuring out what the real pain points are, right? And so sometimes the pet rock issue is like, this is the solution. Sometimes they ask you, well, what's the problem? And I think that was the real key part of going through a cohort. It's like you have to fall in love with the problem. You have to think about the problem. What is the problem? Is it your problem? Is it the user's problem? And then really getting that empathetic just effort to figure out, okay, is this the real problem? Is it the root cause? Is it what's really causing these friction points? And then trying to figure out, okay, what could help address that? Because sometimes it's so easy, especially with all the unknowns, just to go into solutionism, and you get those blue types in your group that are like, what are we doing here? Why aren't we solving something right now? It's like, nope, we are gonna look at the problem. We're gonna try to figure out, ask all the questions to see if we're really solving the real thing that is worth doing. And I think that's what senior leaders are looking for, is that yes, they have authorities to make change and budgets potentially to move around, but you really have to figure out what's keeping them up at night, and understand it's like if you're helping them solve their problems, then that'll help your efforts as well. Sometimes you can package that together in an interesting way. I think one of the most valuable traits learning out of this, the cohorts and the community, is storytelling. If you can empathize with your audience and storytell and capture their attention in a way to drive that intellectual but also emotional connection to a vision of something that's better than what it is today. I mean, that's at the end of the day what humans strive for, is that storytelling aspect, and be like, okay, yes, I am excited about that, or I do see the opportunities. And doing that in a very concise and direct manner is still something I'm working on today. But of any officer, enlisted member, or just general professional, I think just learning the art of storytelling and stakeholder buy-in will take you a long way in your career as well.
That's a huge takeaway from how 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 needles move in this space, right? Like people buy with the heart, with the
Yeah.
emotion. Like, oh, I'm gravitating to a good story, and it's made a huge difference, right? When we start talking about ways to leverage, what do we do new? What do we do that matters? Um, in John Maxwell's book 360, he talks about like if you want to lead up, you have to understand the leader's heartbeat, right? And how do you engage? And so I think that point really drives into innovation being more than just kind of this buzz space and the art. And so as leaders, we talk a lot about like the art of leadership, the art of innovation, and how do you connect with whoever you are trying to innovate for. Those things really, really matter, right? Um, I
Yeah, and Johnny Barnes is a fantastic talk on heart and courage and all that. And like every time he gets ready to say that, I always even take more notes. Every time he says it, it's a great story. It takes heart and it takes courage, and it's the combining of all the best virtues together to have that. And sometimes, yeah, to change from the status quo, to lead up to your leadership and tell them, I mean, that takes courage, and what helps with that is having a community that you can bounce off ideas, that can be a sounding board to say, am I crazy or is this a thing? And if they were like, yeah, don't, like, go for it, that sounds great. It gives you a little bit more of that courage to know that other people are with you, may not work with you locally, geographically, but connecting with this community, I think, is really what's really unique and amazing about it.
So you mentioned the community, right? And then so in your efforts to establish and build this alumni association and working with the MIC, right? What would you say was the most rewarding part of being a trailblazer or a catalyst for not only just the council, but also the Alumni Association and moving that forward.
Yeah, it was definitely, we had just aspirations. Like we have this amazing community of graduates of a cohort, but also coaches that are willing to give back more. And usually the coaches, I feel, is the most, that bench is really what's the golden piece of all this, because they're not only went through it once, but willing to go back again and willing to keep continuing sharpening their skills. And so that's what we really tried to find ways to help connect them and stay engaged. And I think it was really challenging to do that virtually. And we have people all over the world. So it's like, how do we capture the most people and add value back and empower them of a council for us, by us? No business development. It's just really just leveraging the talents, because we have people in all the services, not just Air Force, and we have civilians, and each one is just like, oh, really 1 or 2 degrees off someone that's could really change the needle for you. And so it's just reminding people that you have this network, and all you have to do is ask sometimes, and sometimes something amazing could come out of it, as long as you're just willing to be a little vulnerable and ask and say, hey, this is something interesting. Does anyone else find it interesting? And usually a few of us, step up and say, hey, how can we build this? And I think what the most difficult challenge is still leveraging this digital space, virtual space, and connection. We tried a couple different things, and I think if I were to go at it again, or maybe something for you guys to think about, is maybe having some type of regional touch points or regional leaders to think of, like, hey, for the Northeast, this is your go-to coach or PM person to discuss. And then they would be the ones to touch base. Obviously the balance between bureaucracy structure, but also agileness is in that somewhere. But I think that's something that people really want. Is there's an over saturation of online webinars and talks, maybe do this over lunch. And it's like, well, people are usually willing to go out of the way if there's something interesting in person to draw connection, especially post COVID and all that. I feel like we're still recovering. And that's just a thought as I've been thinking about this. What's something maybe you could try that's new? And that's that to help further empower. Because I've seen different hubs from others, like Defense Entrepreneurs Forum. They tried that, and it's really always down to the coalition of willing. You can't just assign someone that, like, you are now this, go do that, really the best of your ability on your own volunteer time. No, you need people to say, yes, I'm willing to take on that leadership role. And you never know until you ask again, right? So yeah.
No, so that's perfect. When you think about, and so that's one of the things that we had talked about. I think for Paul, um, the idea of an alumni association that mirrors alumni associations, with that regional kind of touch point and where things are happening. And so from a communications piece, people understand and know when these things exist. But a good bridge to talk through the Space Force Association that you've built here in the Boston, New England area. Um, talk to me a little bit about how that came out, how that came to
Yeah.
be, and then lessons learned from your time on MIC that helped to move the association forward.
Yeah, for sure. So um, basically, for Space Force Association, for those who don't know, so it's the sole 501(c)(3) national level nonprofit to support the Space Force, a national security space defense mission, and its guardians. And had just touch points from a touch point leading to talk to the national level president, and we connected somehow. And he asked me, it's like, hey, you're motivated to connect people. We really need a New England chapter and have a physical presence. And I think that really resonated with me. It's like, one, it's closely related to my job as a Space Force Guardian. I can find a way to help Guardians, and I'm already doing this as far as, like, I love just, again, connecting the community, my stage aspect. So I said, it sounds like extra work, and I've never been afraid of extra work. So let's go. Let's try it. Let's see what we can do. Because I've seen this gap here, that there's already this amazing level of space talent and innovation, especially here in Cambridge area and Massachusetts area. But no one's really driving the rhetoric, the conversations on defense and how is that okay, and bringing that to the conversation. And so I just kind of I took on the challenge and put the call out. I did my thing of saying, like, one-on-one conversations. Hey, are you interested? Who'd like to be on this board to start something new? And from the MIC, we had this dynamics of a leadership council and what's working. And I try to be, set expectations from the get-go. That's the main thing. It's like from day one, it's like, okay, if you're going to be on our board, like check this box, like you are willing to commit at least a couple hours a week for the success of this chapter. This isn't just to hold a title and to look pretty in your resume. You need to commit to doing real value and effort for this region and this mission that we're on. And I think that really helped a lot. And so that's why I encourage if anyone were to start something new or take on a new leadership role like that, is just right away set your strategy, vision, or at least your expectations for the team, especially in the volunteer capacity, because people get busy, and just say, hey, that's okay. You are a real person with real life challenges. Just be transparent with me. Like, let me know when you need to get off the throttle a little bit so one of us can step up and then we can, balance the load. So that was definitely key. And then after that, it was just again, that storytelling aspects, like, why do we need this? Going out there and saying, hey, this is why we exist. We're here to help, and really partnering. We went to go look around other organizations that had outreach and say, how can we help you? We don't want to create anything new. We don't want to compete with you. We want to help you. And how do we bring Space Force, space level missions into your already established programming? And that was already like people accepting us, welcoming us in, and then saying, oh, you should meet this other person. You should meet this other person. And then all of a sudden, we had our chapter kickoff in June, which it helps when you have a general come, General Grant, Space Systems Command Commander. He was in the area, which we strategically aligned his visit elsewhere with that. And then that kind of stamped our, hey, they're a real thing. They brought a general in. And then he gave us a call to action. This was a great 2-hour event. I want you to go now, do a full day, really convene the community and get them fired up. And so within 4 months, we took the call to action. We stood up this New England Space Defense Innovation Summit to bring together, okay, there's great things happening here, but what if, the innovator's question, what if this? What if you brought together venture capital, education, academia, entrepreneurs, government, and actually talked openly about how to advance tech transition, and help startups to really invigorate this ecosystem of space innovation in this area? And people resonated with it and they loved it. I mean, it was all grassroots, it was all volunteer run, from zero funding to this, getting sponsorships. It was a whole journey, and I did a lot of after hours work, and but it was amazing just seeing that come together at the end of the day. It was very humbling being in the room and seeing people come together and being present out of their day to be with you. And 6 months ago, it wasn't even a thought. And so that was probably the most rewarding challenge and also innovative type of just project, bringing people together most recently. That was really great to see. I don't think it's sustainable to do it that same way every time, but we did something, we tried it, and now we're going to learn how to do it maybe better next year.
So that makes me feel very much like for noise, right? So last year,
Yeah.
first time from thought napkin to realization on the end of the
With NATO,
Troyer.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. But when I hear you talk about Space Force Association here in the New England area, kind of some of the same from ideation of why not? We're going to try something to full fruition and making sure that those things last. And I feel like um, the more we have those spaces to where they build, because right, like you have Project Mercury grads who are taking the information experience that they had in this space and asking the question, what if we try this, or using the information that you've learned from Project Mercury to further innovation in your respective AOR. And I think one of the things that me and Paul talk about a lot, right, being medical and working in defense health agency spaces, is working to get to a place where we can do this and bring venture, uh, government, academia, industry, everybody into a space to get after some stuff. Um, and so it's encouraging to see, okay, someone was able to do it in this space. Someone was able to do it in this space. Because you're right, like it is a lot of work. And I think it's now 3 years of just trying to get something big picture going for ourselves. And then just trying to count small wins, right?
And I think having like a tangible event date
Absolutely.
helped. So people were like, okay, this is why we're surging. This is why, this is the goal. This is the date. We're all doing something. You set that vision, you set the flag out there and be like, this is, we're going to do something. Let's all make it happen. And then that definitely helped, I think. And maybe that's something to think about too with the MIC
Oh,
and,
for
and
sure.
Alumni Association. Because if you just have, hey, in general, we're going to be doing good things and having people connect and talk, it's like, cool. No one's going to argue with that. They'd be like, yes, that sounds like a great thing. But then, you know, real life, people are just like, well, what do I got to do today? What do I got to do next week? What's on my task list? What do I got to get done? And if there's never something to drive that urgency, that need, that date, sometimes it just gets continuously passed off, right? And so, yeah, it's I love that you guys are thinking about that, and to try to converge that way. And I think what helped is always having that senior leader champion, right? We talk about having that champion. Who is that person at the top that gives me the authority, the autonomy to sprint for something? And so for SFA, it was that the president, the national level president, is like, Jeff, like go use our platform to create and to build and to do something new. And I try to reach out, nothing on AFA. AFA is amazing, but the Air Force Association chapter, they've matured, right? And that's kind of naturally what happens with a system that grows and grows and bigger. And well, you need systems in place to take accountability. And what I've heard with them, it's like, yes, like 8 months out, you have to put in your budget, and 4 months out, you have to make sure this is approval and approval and approval, which is what you need for a very mature and large organization. But I don't think we could have done that with under a different hat or under a different champion. With SFA, they call themselves a startup, they're still new, like the Space Force, only 6 years old. And their leadership says, whatever you need, you can use our registration page. These are the resources I'm giving you to leverage for this now, and then go run. They never asked or second guessed me, or I didn't have a weekly meeting to give them the status. They just said, whatever you need, let us know what you need, and run with it. And I think that's definitely what's needed. And I see that, you guys could have too, is that you don't have to have a huge budget to make impact. You just need people with a vision and set a goal, and see what happens, because I think we want to work together. We want to build something new. And especially in this day and age when there's a lot of uncertainty, just on many different levels, they're looking to see, who can I trust, who can I build with, and I think that's a great thing that you guys could leverage as well.
Absolutely. It's always nice to have seen it done, understand and get some feedback for like, here are the things that work really well in our space. Here's what we leveraged. Here's lessons learned. And we go back to the drawing board and we work it through. And so I have had the privilege of being able to attend Noise, being able to be with you in DC for the Joint Staff Workshop, um, being able to witness as people have gotten things through the finish line. And I'm sure, right, like with all of the things that you've been involved, from your first cohort to now, there have been a ton of just kind of great memories or things that you can hang your hat on for success. But I'd ask, what would you say as it relates to Project Mercury and then your influence in the innovation space, would you consider to be your legacy?
Oh, wow. It feels like that's like the retirement question. Well, one, I'm not done yet, so there's definitely always
There you
more
go.
to do. But with Project Mercury, and it's so interesting in itself. Like the main core of it all is under its own, trying to uh, uh, reimagine, evolve itself, right? As far as the partnerships have changed, funding has changed, and it's shifted, and so as it's trying to evolve into something, hey, where's our place to be? I think the Nick is also there, but the legacy is just, I think, the storytelling aspect of it all. Fairly active on LinkedIn, and I'm not looking for a new job, but I've used it as, again, as a platform to share the story of Project Mercury and connect people, and people reach out to me, and I always feel like I owe it to the community to give back more than I've taken in. And so anytime I can be of help to someone, and if anyone else is listening to this, or anyone in the PM network, my network is your network, because that's what I've been given from others before me. In Project Mercury and elsewhere in the service. And so just finding that community, I think, is key. And I hope that's my legacy, is that I'm seen as someone that's given back more than I've taken from it. And I will continue to give back into it, because I see just the immense value of it all, and people just trying to do the right thing. That's what it's really about. When you see someone's intent, they're like, hey, this is what I'm really trying to do, and I'm willing to put in the effort. to do that out of my own time, it's like, awesome, how can I help? Because you're really trying to just help our mission, national security, and your fellow service members. Then like, let's go. What can we do to help you find those goals to do that?
No, I mean, I would definitely say the give back has been immense, especially when you think about what happens here in this region, right? And you understand, especially being in Boston here at Hanscom, with how there are so many things that are working in silos and bringing those things together, right? And then so I would say, as a person who's been able to witness the convergence of the ecosystem here in this environment, right? Like you had your hands very much on that. So um, at least from one MIC council member to another and fellow innovator, thank you. One, for taking the time today, right, to share your story and talk through um, where your impacts, where your insight is for innovation, not only in our regional space, but as it impacts defense. But I think my last question for you, from an insight standpoint, is where do you go next?
Yeah. What's next, right? So I mean, it's well, happy government opening day, so that's a good thing, right? It helps when the government's open to see what's happening. So I think there's some interesting things at play for 2026. NATO is amazing. I'd love to be able to help support them as there's more cohorts and workshops there. Because they're just again, my stage is all about partnerships and how we help each other, and they're one of our closest partners, if not within the Five Eyes. So I'd love to, at least my goals is to get back in that world and and drawing more partnerships there. Locally, we'll continue with SFA. We'll continue to promote being a friendly neighborhood space ally. So anyone for space related questions or needs, or just mentorship. If I can't help answer it, there's amazing people here that I can help connect each other to. And so we'll continue forth as the president, moving that needle forward with space innovation in the region and connecting people. And then yeah, just seeing what else comes our way. The world's changing many different ways, and there's still a lot of good to be done. And so just seeing who's building what and seeing how I can help, and however I can help you guys, as you continue to build this community out, happy to do so. So I think that's what I'm looking forward to next, and always being ready for, finding novelty, as they say, where you'd least expect it. And so always a little bit of extra scope for something new if it's somewhere I can help.
No,